We are live, and I think Anne has updated her name because we were trying to
Yes.
do that. Hello, everyone. If you are here live, say hello in the comments just to let us know. This is being recorded and streamed to YouTube for a select few that have the link that will have access to this. So today we are talking about websites and we are auditing websites. And so first of all, I always forget to introduce myself. I think everyone knows me. There are a billion plus people on this planet, and not everyone knows me. My name is Tanisha Molden. I'm an attorney, an intellectual property trademark attorney, and also a brand strategist. You can find out all there is to know, almost all there is to know about me, at least business wise, on LinkedIn. As you can see, I like to keep it light, but we're going to be talking about somewhat mm, heavy things because we're going to talk about that first impression that you put out into the world, which is your website and how to protect that. And drum roll.
Hi, Tanisha. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Moshine. I am a web designer, and it's not just about having a digital, pretty asset. It is about having a conversion tool and a business asset that not only brings you leads, but as Tanisha and I will go back and forth covering, she will talk about the legal aspects of what you need in your website. And like we've said, we're going to focus on your first impressions, which is your website homepage, because that's the first page people see when they open your website. So we're glad that you're here, and we're glad that this is information and you're investing in your business by being here and listening to us for the next hour or so.
Yes. If we want to get started, we can use that one sheet that I had and kind of give them the layout of the land or what we're going to talk about. If that is helpful
Mhm.
here. I figured out how to make it bigger. so, so we're going to go through a founder's website, and we're going to be really focused on the header and the footer, but there are also some things in between that you need to be aware of. We're Anne is going to be talking a lot about the design of it, and what I will be focused on is the legal foundations. And so we'll be going through a little bit of where these things are. If you're watching the screen, the privacy notice, terms and condition, the trifecta is what I call it, and how that affects you. And then going over the asset protection and liability. And that's where I kind of go back and forth between it's all legal, but going more into the intellectual property component of it. And then making sure that you're aware of any potential um, risk. We want to reduce the risk of exposure for you or fines that could happen. And plus, you want to be able to use your website with ease and not be worried about that you're using someone else's assets. And I don't know what word you want to use for the website. I always say asset.
Yes, so collectively, yes, I would call it an asset. And we're going to break it down to what does it mean when we are saying that your website is an asset. It's an asset because it's going to be working for you. It's an asset because you're investing time to make sure that the design, the copy, the legal requirements are serving your company, are protecting your company, are protecting your business. So, in that sense of the word, we just don't want an infrastructure that just sits in our organization to check the box. We want to turn it into an asset. And when you think about asset as we know it, even in the mainstream language, it is something that brings you positive returns. So with us covering today the design elements and the legal elements for your website homepage, we are on this path of turning your website into what we really, that's why we're calling it an asset, because that's where we want it to be. That's where we want it. Every time you evaluate your asset, is it giving you the returns that you want? And what are those returns? And so that's so we can actually get it kicked off with some design elements, Tanisha.
Okay. And I also want to make sure that the audience knows that they signed up through the link that Anne designed that landing page. So if you appreciate her design, which was very beautiful, if you want to pull it up, we can show it again. Maybe I can find it. I don't have it pulled up, Anne. I gotta go to your LinkedIn
It's
page to find it.
annemoshimi.com/, website audit. And
Let's just maybe we can. There we go. I found it. Let me see if I can put it over here into our shared, just so we can share it. I'm going to add it. There we go. So if you did not see the beautiful page that she created, when I saw it, I was like, mine don't look like that. Oh, and that's us. Yay, that's us. Isn't that nice? So if that is something that you're interested, you can ask Anne about the design of that. I have no idea. She did. She did it, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's better than good. Better than what I could do. We got to get have Anne do
yeah,
it all the time. All right. So, do you want to tell me what you want to do?
I'm just going to go through, and then at some point I am going to turn it over to you, and it will be very clear we're switching from design to legal. Okay.
Okay, so can
So
you want to share your screen? Can you share your screen, or you have something to share? Make sure you have access.
the one page that you had in your other,
Um, in the presentation?
yeah, the one that had the legal and the design elements side by side.
Oh,
That.
okay. Wait. Oh, okay. Wait. I have to. It's not. Let me make sure I'm presenting
So
right.
while
Full
she's
screen.
bringing that up, I want us to look at the homepage in one aspect. It's your first impression. It is sometimes your only impression. You have less than 5 seconds for somebody to get in there and go like, this is for me, this is not for me. Like people are in the, there's so many things. If somebody is looking at your website on their mobile, there is a notification to Instagram, there is a text message coming through, there is a lot of things. So you've gone to one of those websites, you click a link, and then you quickly click out. Now, that's not what we want when people land on our website. So, we want to make our first impression strong. So, a good website, it's not about the flashy animations or the trendy fonts. We want the homepage to be intentional, to be purposeful. It should try to do one thing. It shouldn't try to do everything. The purpose of your homepage is to get the right people there and to get them to the next step.
Oh, can we say that again? Because I'm right. I was like, what's the? I like the purpose. Oh, let's say that again. I'm putting it into the
Yes,
comments.
the purpose of your homepage is not to do everything well. It is to do only one thing well, to get the right people to the next step. So you like, what is the next step? The next step is determined by what is your website goal? What is your business about? So today there are very many elements that we have on a homepage. We're going to focus on three. And in follow-up workshops, if you're interested in follow-up workshops, we can talk about uh, breaking down the whole entire section. So today we're going to talk about the primary navigation, the hero section, and the footer from a design perspective. Definitely, we will cover some sections when we're talking about the legal aspects, but The primary navigation is the top bar that you see right here. You have your
Okay.
home, about, services, blog, contact.
Is this, you want me to go to this page?
That page is fine, or even the previous
Oh.
one is
Oh,
perfect.
okay, okay, okay.
It's
There we go.
perfectly okay. They're both,
Okay.
we can go back and forth in those. So
Mhm.
the primary navigation, you want to keep it simple. You want to keep it no more than 5 elements. Because there's a thing called like decision fatigue. If you tell me to do so many
Let's go
things,
back here.
people end up doing not so many things. So you don't want more than 5 elements there.
You're
But then
talking about
you
right here? This is where you're
exactly.
referring to? Okay,
Yes,
that's a good
it's your
point.
primary navigation. You do not want more than 5 elements. But what if you have subsections that you want to talk about? That's where we table it and we'll put it all of that in the footer section. Your footer can be this like junk drawer where you include all the links that you have, and then your primary navigation at the top is just your primary section. So then we have a section that we call above the fold, and this is a term that borrows from editorial, like print, like anything that you can see on a website before you start scrolling. So it's either called above the fold or the hero section, like Tanisha is pointing out right now. In that section, this is where you've got to tell somebody when they land on your website that this page is for me. This is where your 5 seconds count, you know.
Oh.
So, do the visitors know in less than 3 seconds that they're in the right place? So, what should you be asking to design this section or to evaluate this section? Who is this business for? Who is your audience? What problem are you solving for your target audience? And what action should they take next? In this particular website, you see that they have an action which is saying learn more. So in this mock-up, that's what we're saying. That's your primary call to action. What do you want them to do next, right? And so here the formula for a hero section is you have an image. Sometimes people use a video that expands there. It's fine. The only thing with having a video or a heavily animated element is making sure that it is optimized so that it's your website loads quickly. And those are the things that I look at when I'm building a website, depending on the graphics that my client provides. Is you can give me a file size as big as you want, and then I will optimize it to make sure that it's not slowing down your website. So
So
here
do
you
you
go.
have, so Anne, when you said the formula is one of the things, are you saying that one of the things is to look at, how do you determine when you're talking about the image and loading? Do you want to
So
like not have that many images or make them, or is it a certain type of image you should have? Or file
uh,
size, I think is what they call,
file,
or I don't know
file
what they call it.
size. So let's break it down. Let me give you the formula, and then we will go into like very quickly the specifics. So you want in the hero section, you want to have a headline. That's that big elevate your brand equivalent here. It should be clear and benefit driven. You don't want ambiguous language. Like remember, let me give you the formula and then I want to step back a little bit. So you want a headline, you want a sub headline, and then you want a call to action. So how do you determine what your headline is, what your sublet headline, what's your call to action? Always keep your target audience in mind. Who is your target audience? Remember that things that make sense to you in terminology may not make sense to your audience. So you've got to speak in the language of your target audience. And Tanisha, I'm sure you know about this because there is a lot of legal terminology that you could throw out to us, but we're like, I'm not an attorney. I don't understand that. So you've got to write it in the language that your target audience can understand. Simple is better,
Yeah.
no fluff. Just make sure that it's benefit driven. Like, what is it saying? If I say, if you're a company, then it's that is just going to be, I need to know what you do, because I have evaluated a lot of homepages, and sometimes I go back and I'm like, I don't know what this business does.
And not only that, Anne, what I would add on, that what you're saying is extremely important. What I would also add on, and what I when I'm working with founders, especially on the branding part, is to also keep in mind, they want to keep in mind who their audience is. And sometimes you want to know the language that your audience or your ideal profile, the way they speak. So you have to, I speak several languages. I speak legalese, I speak
Hmm.
my language, and then I speak my prospects language. So so you have to know the language that they speak, because and that's the language that I'm sure that you would probably agree that you want to use,
Yeah.
because you said, I thought you said 5 seconds. I did not know it was 5 seconds. If you only have 5 seconds, you need to say words that they they know
Right,
very fast,
exactly.
that
And
they can make.
then you'll be like, but how do you know that? If you've ever had a consultation call with someone, if somebody has ever made a comment in passing about what they feel about that type of service, what you do, that phrasing is what you want to lean into. So then you're like, but maybe I don't have that now. But we're going to tell you this now, we're going to tell you this in the middle, and we're going to tell you this at the end. Your website is a living organism. Your homepage and other pages of your website need to improve and reiterate as your business grows. So you could be like, today, I'm going to hone in on my homepage. I am going to work on all those elements, and then it will be fine. And then I'm good. But then we encourage you, a year from now, still go back. Is that section still representing the business that you do? And now that you've had more clients, what can you how can you improve that? So I want to talk about um words, because we're talking about words here. Like, how do you come up with words for your headline, subheadline, call to action, and all that, right?
Yeah, I cheat, and I cheat. You know how I cheat? I do what you just said through my consultations and the engage and communicating with
I
people.
wouldn't
I
call
pay
that
attention to their
cheating.
words. I pay
That's
attention to
market
what they
research.
say, and I take the words and use it against them.
It is market research. You are learning to speak the language of your client, and you constantly, it's this constant movement of, like, you learn, you adapt, you learn, you adapt, you speak and then that's what gets people to be like, I'm in the right place in 5 seconds. So that's how you're gonna get there. Now you're gonna the other thing I want to impress here is your website has design elements, it has images, and it has words. Words is what
Oh,
we call copy.
right.
Copy drives the design.
I think we had a graphic for that, didn't we? Because it sounds like the
Yeah,
graphic. Let's see.
we
Where? Let me find it.
copy
Oh,
should
oh.
drive your design. And when I do talk about, like, these are the elements that should be on your homepage, but when I work with a client, I'm not telling them, give me the copy for this section. I give them a whole questionnaire because I want to have as much information about their business and who they serve and how they serve and what their offers are. And then I use that to build the website that reflects that. So it's always, give me the words, we'll do the design. It's not, here is the design, now add the words. It doesn't work like that. And if that's how you've ever approached it, you should flip it on its head to think about communication, because that's where you get clarity, that's where you get connection with your clients. So That is a thread of every section in your website. I know we focused on above the fold, but if you think about anywhere there's going to be words, you're thinking about, am I connecting with my client? Am I making them understand that this is the right place for them? Am I giving them clear directions about where to go next? You know, so that's above the fold. We talked about your primary navigation, keeping it clean, keeping it simple, not more than 5 elements. You don't want people having decision fatigue on where should I click because there's too many clicks. Then I want to talk about a last section here. We're going to skip this section that says feature block 1, 2, 3 because we're just trying to keep this very practical and give you 3 sections that you can walk away and go and improve on today. So when the last section that we're going to talk about here is the footer
A
section.
footer. Okay.
But if you're interested in what are all the sections that make up the anatomy of a high converting homepage, just reach out to us and just comment, put uh, put a comment on this live, and we'll be sure to send you like the full wireframe, and so you can see like how it would be all laid out. So, what's in your footer? The
I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong screen. Here we go.
Mhm. So the footer is like it says, it's at the bottom of your website, the bottom section of your website. So what is that? Sometimes you find like the same navigation links as the primary navigation. That's fine, but I would say lean into not just repeating. You don't want that redundancy where your primary navigation looks like your footer. You want to go into like deeper links, helpful links. So maybe you said, I have services in your primary section above. But now this is where you come and say, instead of just describing services, you go, what is your package one? What is your offer one? List those out instead of the umbrella services. Now you can go in depth because that's a more helpful link. Because I'm like, so for me, for example, my primary navigation has services at the top. At the bottom, I break it down. We can do your web redesign, or we can do a designer for a day, or we can do website maintenance. So those 3 are broken out instead of just covering them as just services. So you want to think, remember, you have more space here and it's at the bottom. So if somebody has made it to the bottom, it's fine. So you can break things down here more granular, right? Make sure that you're inviting them to the next step also. Are you sharing your contact information or an optional call to action? Do you want them to get a quote? Do you want them to sign up on your newsletter? You can put that all in here. And then I want to focus on one thing, and this will kind of be a perfect segue into Tanisha's world. You want to have your legal links. And you're
Legal
like,
links. There
oh,
we go. Wait, oh, there, these links?
yes, this is where you. So when I'm designing, I ask people, do you have your legal? I design the sections that will hold this, but again, you as the business owner are responsible for every word that ends up on your website. And you might be like, but do I really need these things? So this is where Tanisha will explain to us, what are these and when do I need them and when do I not need them?
Okay. You want me to do it now? Is it
Yeah.
my turn? Okay, so great. Thank you, Anne. If you have any questions for Anne, going back to what she stated about the design of it, like she makes these, this doesn't look pretty, but she will make these buttons pretty. And but what after they click on it is what we need to talk about. And I call this part these the legal trifecta: your privacy policy, your terms and conditions, and your disclaimer. So what are they? Your privacy policy, it protects you from the regulatory fines. So it's you disclose how you will handle your visitors' data, and whether you know it or not, you are collecting data with the website. Even as if people visit and don't do anything, the website has now captured their visit. So that is data too. But most of the time, the reason why they're there is because you want to get an email or of some sort. In the privacy policy, is you share how you are using that data and that information. Our terms and conditions, that's our master contract for the site. How the rules of engagement, I kind of call it, and what is the legal exposure. This is your opportunity with the terms and conditions to limit your legal exposure. So when I am drafting the trifecta for my clients, I get into what type of business they are, what do they provide, what are their guarantees, what how people should be using their website, and what limits that they have. That is what goes into those terms and conditions. So if you're using I don't know, just a template terms and conditions that are not suited for your business, you may be leaving yourself open to risk and liability because they may not be suited to what you do in your business. And
So
so,
can I interject a little bit, Tanisha,
yep.
because this was new to me when I started my business, going like, I just want to build websites. Now I've got to do legal things. I'm just, it can get overwhelming, all the elements that we need. And or I don't have the budget right now to hire an attorney to completely customize all these things. So I just want to share like my stopgap between what I did. I did not hire an attorney to build, draft the whole entire document, but they are attorneys like Tanisha who can give you a templatized version. And
Hmm.
when you take that, and you can have then an attorney review it very specific. So what does that do? It cuts down on your cost because they're not drafting everything from scratch, they're customizing it to your business. And so that should help you like get it. You're not overwhelmed thinking, what do I hire, how many dollars, how long does it take you to write this whole entire document? If you take a templatized version, then you adapt it to your business, and that should cut down some cost, which is what I did. And I'm sure Tanisha has other tips, because the more complex your business is, then you do want it complete, you do want to completely, we know how that is.
Yeah.
The more complex it is, then it's even like your medical care. You don't go to the walk-in clinic, you go see a specialist because you
Correct.
need some specialized attention. And so it's the same thing here. We need these documents, but there are ways to get started to, and then all the way to get it fully customized depending on the complexity of your business.
Correct. And you make a good point that you can have templates, but you can also engage an attorney to just do a review,
Yes, absolutely.
and they can review it with your business in mind, and that does save costs to do that versus creating it from scratch. One thing that I do want to note on the terms and conditions, because I see this most often, I think people forget about these things. In our day and age, as we are engaging with customers, more likely than not, we have third party providers that are behind the scenes, in particular payment processors.
Mm-hmm.
that come into play with our terms and conditions. And one of the things that I see in that entrepreneurs or business owners they don't think about or forget is that they are refund policies.
Mm.
So when it comes to refund policy, and I'm going to give just an example. So say you have your refund policy is that if you get a notice of a refund, that you will give their money back in, you want to say 72 hours. This is what I had an entrepreneur say. I can refund it in 72 hours. I was like, that's great. Who's doing the payment processing? And they told me who it was. So I said, well, what's their process for returns? Because you have to go through them. And they did not know. But as it turns out, it was 7 to 10 days. So if it's 7 to 10 days for you to make that request to your third party provider, you need to cushion yourself and say 14 days. Now you see why some people are like, well, it only took you, 30 seconds to take my money. Why does it take 14 days? Because you need to go through that payment processor and allow yourself a day or two for it to be done based upon the time that that request comes to you, because it may come during a certain time of day where things are done. So that's just an example of terms and condition, how it needs to be customized. That if you go in and say 3 days, and then someone comes to you is like, I made my refund, it's been 4 days, where's my money? And then they're upset with you because we did not take under consideration that those third party providers and what they do. So the payment, that's my that's probably the best the tip of the day that I see most often, and from our for our entrepreneurs.
Yes, it's not only having these sections, it's making them they are aligned to what we can deliver. So that's a good point, Tanisha. So what is a disclaimer? Because you have the
This
trifecta
Yeah.
here. Mm-hmm.
A disclaimer is just simply is limiting your liability. So, like for example, the disclaimer is this is you'll see like especially on my websites and my assets, the things that I share, that this is for educational purposes only, and it does not constitute legal advice, and I am not your attorney. That's my disclaimer.
That's very good for like specialized professionals, like if
It's
you are like in an accountant's website, a doctor's website, like like you, a lawyer's website, because Tanisha is even the information she's sharing here today, it's on educational purposes because none of us have paid her a retainer for her to be our specific and personal attorney. So
Yes.
I understand that. Mhm.
Right. So this workshop is for educational purposes only. I am not your attorney. If you would like to engage and have me as your attorney, you can email me at info@moldenlaw.com. So that is how essentially how a disclaimer works in real life and in here. So what else do we have here?
So I
You
wanted
want to go
to
back?
not go back, like kind of thinking about the elements that make up this website asset. We talked about images, we talked about words,
Hmm.
we talked about and this legal sections. But Tanisha, can you talk to us about images? And when I talk about images here, I mean the photography, I mean the logo, I mean like graphic elements
Yep.
that we could use here, because I use them from a design perspective, but they do have an impact on our on legality.
Yes. So when you are looking for images or using images on your website, the legal part is that you should own them. Simply own them, or they are I forget what the term is, and they're free market.
Yes, so they are, they're free to use. So the person who owns the image has given you rights to use the image. And I do have resources of where can you get free to use graphics and images. So if you are interested in that, just let us know in the comments as well. Like, so like, where can you find images that are free for you to use if you do not own it? But
Right.
like
Yes.
Tanisha said, it is better to use the images you own. But how do I own an image?
So the if you can design it yourself, you can purchase the rights to it,
Mm-hmm.
to use it. You can get permission from the owner to use it. You can get disclaimers, or not disclaimers, disclosures. So when you go to events, you know how you go to events and they have you sign this. The photos will be taken, sign here so we can use the photos. That's how they get access to share those images.
Right.
That's
I
one way to
did,
do that.
for my website, I did get a professional photographer to do my images. So those images are covered by this photographer's work product, but they gave me a release to use those images for me. And you would be
Yes.
thinking, but of course, I paid them, it's over. But you want to be very specific
Yes.
in your agreement with the photographer that they are giving you that release.
Okay.
Use that.
So, yeah, that you make a very excellent point. Yes. So, if you, in situations like that, you want to look at the engagement that you're entering into with the professional that's taking the pictures, on who owns those pictures and how can you use them. Because sometimes they own the pictures. You have to pay to use them. And you're like, why would I have to pay again? No, they give you permission to use them. It depends on the photographer or how the terms of use. If you want to put them on your website, that's a different fee. That's not the terms of their use.
Mm-hmm.
So you just want to look at the contract. There's no right or wrong. Everyone has their own terms, and you want to pay attention. Again, their terms of use would be in that footer section. That's where you should be able to see that, because if that's the standard, or it definitely should be in their contract. So when we are looking at this is kind of like where the design and the law collide, because if you use someone's images and is unlicensed, you're not licensed to do so, you can face fines.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that you would get is a demand letter saying to take it down. And just usually they don't say charge you, there's a fine to it, but if you're not, quick enough with it, you can be fined.
Yeah, yeah. So we're throwing a lot at you all. When I'm working with clients and we're getting ready to build their website, I do guide them by providing them, like it's like a worksheet, a workbook that says, here is what we're all going to need. Give me your logo, give me your images, give me all these aspects of your website. Did you work with an attorney or buy a template for your legal trifecta documents? Like, give me all of these things. And also in that document, I give you ideas of where can you go to get free to use images? Where can you go to get a legal contract, or the privacy document, the terms and conditions and all that? So we're not just saying do these things and you're left like, wait, what do I do now? Where do I go? How many people do I need for my website? We're guiding you and we're helping you with this document to be like, this is what you're going to need, these are the boxes you should check. And then we are helping, so we help you build, like we're saying, this asset, because nothing is an asset when you get a demand letter. At that point, it's a liability.
You're- so this is true. And I think, we have to say, yes, we're sharing insights on what we do. Typically, this is when you engage either of us, this is done. We're
Mm,
not necessarily we're asking the questions that need to be asked to get the document or get the website done. But these are the things that we take under consideration. But we also know there are a lot of entrepreneurs that have not reviewed their website in a while, or they're starting new websites, or they're building them themselves. And these are things that you need to look at, and like going to a an attorney like myself and having someone review the documents. You can have a designer like Anne review the website and go through that with you. I think, I want to make sure I go through the I'm kind of going around, but I want to, because you talked about that footer part. Is this it? Yes. Um, Going back to the header, the footer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't registered your a trademark, that's okay. That's okay. You want to make sure that you are using the TM, but most important, you want to make sure that you're using the asset on the website. And here's why: because when you do come to me to register the trademark, one of the easiest ways for me to get proof that you're using it is to go to your website. So you
Mm-hmm.
want to use that asset as early as possible, because the timestamp matters when you start using it. So if you're going to use a logo that you own, that you have rights to, you use it here in the at the very top, at the header, the footer, your slogan. So I this also the trifecta of your IP, your name, your logo, or your slogan, right there at the top, right there at the top.
Ooh,
And then
name, slogan, and logo.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
so that is the trademark trifecta: name, logo, and slogan.
Like we know Nike, just do it. If
And
I
then it
even
has a
just
swoosh.
suggest, and they have the swoosh.
That's the trifecta. Yep. So if you're going to use that, you use that right, at the top, or the logo might be here. They might have the slogan and the swoosh over here somewhere, but yeah, you want to use that, because then we'll grab you need, and then also grab a screenshot that's time stamped on the first use of it. Now, to tell a story, I'm running into an issue with a client right now that trying to prove use when they first started using it, and she did not grab a timestamp. And the use has to be before the date that you file the application. Can't
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. We can do things afterwards, but that's not what happened. It's just a matter of putting things in order. Not that it can't be afterwards, but ideally, it would be helpful to have that beforehand. Okay. And
Yeah,
then
there
we have,
are third-party tools that you can go back, but like T Tanisha is saying, I think the safest bet is your screenshot, because if that business that's providing the third-party tool changes the nature of the business, then you
mm-hmm,
no longer have that history. So if you haven't, go and grab your screenshot. Tanisha, I am saying this to myself as I'm saying it to everybody else. I'm going to grab my screenshot because I've been relying in the back of my mind to these third party companies. And I just had this aha moment. What if they change the nature of their business? I can't go back. And
right.
yeah, so that's my action item today. I wonder what
Action.
your action item is. All of us are going to have different action items from this call.
Yeah, and I have a Google Drive, like organize the way I organize um assets like this, the screenshots, the proofs, to as you're building or creating things, how to keep them organized in the folders, because you don't necessarily need them right now, but in the 6 months to a year, then you can come and say, here's the folders, Tanisha, I have the screenshots, because once you put them in that document, that automatically it's stamped.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if it's not, then you put the date on there, but it should be uh, time and date stamp. And we know to put your copyright, if you don't have your copyright notice of the website down there, this is your public claim of ownership. all the in anything that you have on the website, your proprietary frameworks, and we can talk about that might be in the middle part. I have a thing about putting your frameworks out there, but that's for another another presentation, another workshop. But you put your copyright, make sure it's the current year. I think I have, here we go. Um, your copyright, this is the formula there. The C can come before. No, yeah, the I usually put the date before, but
Mhm.
copyright the date, and we do not want to put your name because that's personal liability, right? We want the LLC. Make sure it's the business name. Let me say
What
that for the people
about
in the back.
doing a hyphenated uh year? What is, because I've seen that where people say copyright 2022 to 2026.
That's fine. That's fine, as long as you have the current year on there,
Okay.
because you still have the history anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, and we talked about using actively using the trademark symbol, or if you do have a registered trademark, use your registered trademark symbol to make sure that people are aware that you own the marks, or you have intentions that you are making a claim to that, a common law claim. That's what that TM does. And you want to have your terms of use visible at the bottom. It's because this protects you, that the terms of use are saying that you own this and no one else should use it. You're also putting that in your terms of use. This is mine. You are not to use it without my permission. If you want to get permission, then you say that in the terms of use, how they can, like, say you want to say, if you're a photographer, they want to get your images. In the terms of use, here's the email address and phone number or the website. How do you get access to those images?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you do that. Otherwise, people will
What's an
take
example of hidden terms? Is it where
it.
you don't state it?
Yeah, when it's not stated, that is not stated, is hidden. Like when you might have a terms of use, but like when you said you don't have it down where people can see it or click on it,
Mm-hmm. If
don't
if
we
there is
don't
no way for them to get to what is the full written out terms of use, if you don't have your terms and conditions, which would include this language, then you don't have, or if you've not exposed it, you don't have it.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's hard to go back and say that they should have known,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um we talked about that. We talked about that. And these are just some pointers, things that are not necessarily on our design radar, but just some points I wanted to share about sharing testimonials, and make sure that you are being thoughtful and in compliance, and that they are really testimonials from people. Um, and so look, so this is an example of people say, I made 10,000 in a week. What you want to do is say, yes, I made 10,000 a week, but you should put a disclaimer there.
Right. It's especially if you're saying I made 10,000 in a week, it by this service I'll show you how I made 10,000 in a week.
Right.
You're implying they're going to make the 10,000 in a week, but you should then be here stating what's the expectation here, like
Hmm.
how did it come about? So because then you don't want to have this liability of you promised me that 10,000 like you did and I'm not getting there.
Correct. And I think the next slide, oh, well, maybe it's not that one. Oh, I went too far. I thought it was a different slide that I talked about here we go. The guarantees. I don't know if you work with a lot of clients that put guarantees.
This especially comes into play when you have a sales page, like
Oh,
that's, like when there are different types of pages in a website. So a sales page is different from a service page. So a sales page is getting somebody to do a specific action, which here is to buy a service or a product. And so when I'm working with those clients, again, I, as the designer, don't hold the responsibility to make sure that you are compliant legally. I design elements and create a space on your website to hold this, you stating that you are compliant. So that
right.
remains, as a business owner, your responsibility. It never becomes the designer did it. I don't know what your guarantee is. I don't know how you back up your guarantee. I will create a space for you to hold that. So I do see this a lot, especially when you're working with a sales page. And if you're wondering, should I have a sales page or should I have a service page? This is the whole point of this call, is to like invite you further to let's look at other pages of your website, either from a design lens and conversion or from a legal lens.
Right. And I think, and you just gave a perfect example of terms and conditions. You verbally said what your terms and conditions are, that you provide design in part, and in your terms and conditions, I do not provide legal advice. I put
Mhm,
what you give me, and that's what we put out there. I am not responsible for this to be in compliance with any of these regulations. uh, uh, that is your responsibility, or to seek professional advice to make sure
mhm,
that you are in compliance. So people need to be aware of that, that it does not, even though people are designing, yes, that designers are very, very, very important because they help you convert. But then I think, one of the things we talked about earlier is that the and helps you convert, but I help you keep the money.
mhm,
So they both come together. So when you are, if you're making any guarantees, you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself by educational purposes only, or making sure that disclaimer is somewhere on that page, very close to this, or going back and saying why that can happen. Results are I don't know. I don't use guarantees like that. So I like, but I'm seeing people do that, but they always put like some type of disclaimer. So we
yeah.
need to be careful with that. We just want to make sure we bring that to your attention.
And that
And
disclaimer is, the disclaimer that you were talking about. This one, you
this one,
might be like, after today's call, you're like, maybe I shouldn't put all of these. No, these are conversion
yes.
mix. So if you have it, I would say stated, it's building you trust with the person who visits that particular page. It's building you trust with whatever offer, service, product that you're selling here. So we're not saying do not use these things because it's
Oh,
getting complicated. We're
oh
just
no.
saying, like, if I see this, I'm like, okay, I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in. But now we're peeling the layer behind the scenes to make sure, like Tanisha said, just because you put it there and you got a conversion, you made a sale, are you keeping the money in the back end, or is something happening that now you now have to pay out because you couldn't back up what you had said? So this is the conversion, the point that we want to point out, is like the design. Where does the design and the legal meet? And it's right there in the middle, where you have this asset that not only brings you money, but also helps you keep it in your business.
Correct. Yeah, I definitely would not say not to have a guarantee, because that, like Ann just said, that helps with conversions. And if you have one, or you have one on your website, you just want to make sure you're putting it through this lens,
Hmm.
that you that you're not that you're not making promises you can't keep, but if you make these promises without these disclaimers, then people will come back and say, I didn't get I didn't double my money in 30 days. It was 31 days. I want my money back. So, yeah.
Tanisha, I'm looking at the time and I don't know if anybody wants to jump in and do a live audit, but we're running out of time. But if not,
Hmm.
I always do live audits and send you like a video report. So
Oh,
if you don't want to jump in on this call, we can do a live audit real quick. Or if you can always reply back to us or on the comments and say you're interested in a live audit, and we'll record one and send it to you. At least I know I will record one from a design aspect and send it to you for your homepage. So are we able to look at the comments to see if we have any takers for a live audit?
I'm looking at the comments. I don't see anything right now. Yeah, I don't see any comments right now for a live audit. But if they want to share their or send you want to put your email address or where they can send that request to,
Yes, you
and
can
I
reply
would,
to any of the emails you got for a live audit.
and I'm sharing my email.
Or you can email me at
Yep.
hello@anmoshina.com. Or a better way might be just go on my website to the contact page, and then that way you can state
Go
what
to,
you want. But you can just say hello@anmoshina.com, send me an email, and tell me you're interested in a website audit, and I will audit your website homepage and send you a video report.
okay, so let me grab your website address and I'll put that into the comments also, if that is the easiest way to get there. I don't know, grab the awesome. All right. Did it go? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And I'm looking at your above the fold and how you talk about it rooted in conversion strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what and I see what you did there, Ann. I see what you did there. Well, I think we went through a lot. We did go through a lot. So, if anyone has any questions, of course, they can contact me or Ann. I put my email address. I'll pop it back up there. Info at moldenlaw.com. And then we have Ann, uh, Ann Muchin. Am I saying it right? Muchin?
Moshine.
Machine. Oh, that was the Moshine.com and Moshine.com.
Yeah.
Ah, all the time. Some final words from you, Anne. What do you have?
Final words is we've said it before, your website continues to grow as your business grows. So you're constantly making changes, not only to your business, but to your website. And a website that is constantly updated is also friendly to Google because it shows that this website is active and it's getting changed. So this is not a one and done. Don't get overwhelmed about all the things we talked about. Pick one thing that you're going to do today and then do it. If your action here is, I need more one on one time with Anne or Tanisha, so then you can reach out to us individually based on those elements. If you're like, I'm good, I got that, I'm changing my primary navigation has like 10 things, I'm going to change it down to 5. Just do one action today.
Hmm.
Obviously, we would like to have more conversations to break down the other elements of your homepage that we did not get to talk about. But feel free to reach out to us. You have Tanisha's email, info@moldenlaw. And you can reach out to me either at hello@anmushine.com or just go to my website, anmushine.com/contact.
I think, my final thought is, and I didn't really get into this, but AI,
Mm,
the AI policy, to make sure if you're looking at your privacy policy and it has not been updated in the past 6 months because things are moving fast, um, you, it behooves you to review that and make sure that it's updated to reflect the AI tools and any data processing that you are using to gather data from the website is included in that trifecta at the bottom, the terms and conditions and the privacy policy. Make sure that is updated because as we are moving fast, we are using new tools and new plugins and things like that on the website. So we just want to make sure that it's being disclosed and you're staying compliant too with the regulations when it comes to websites. So I hope that was helpful. And then everything Ann said, contact us if you have any further questions. And then you can always, if you just have questions in general, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to this. We want to help you succeed and be successful entrepreneurs. So
definitely.
if you need support in that way and don't know, you need direction, we have plenty, I mean, tons of people in our network that if we are not the right fit or you're looking for a certain professional, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to share some trusted professionals with you.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for being
Okay.
here.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.